Thank you, Pastor Carlson, for those words. Members, the House will come to order. We are excited to welcome Olivia Bilkey From Highland Elementary School in Alt, Colorado, special guest of Minority Leader Lynch. She will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hi, will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Schiebel, please call the roll.
Representatives Amabile. Amabile.
Excused.
Rep. Amabile is excused. Armagost. Bacon. Bird. Bockenfeld. Basenecker. Bottoms. Bradfield. Bradley. Catlin. Doherty. Representative Doherty. DeGraff. Degree Kennedy. Dixon. Duran. English. Epps. Evans. Frizzell. Froelich. Rep. Froelich is here. Garcia. Representative Garcia
Excused.
is excused. Gonzalez Gutierrez. Hamrick. Hartsook. Herod. Representative Herod
Excused.
is excused. Holtorf. Judah. Joseph. Kip.
Here.
Leader. Lindsay. Lindstead. Luck. Lukens. Lynch. Mabry. Marshall. Martinez. Representative Morrow. Excused. McCormick. McLaughlin. Representative McLaughlin's here. Michelson Janae. Ortiz. Parenti. Puglisi. Ricks. Sharbini. Sirota is here. Snyder. Soper. Story. Taggart. Titone. Valdez. Velasco. Representative Velasco.
Excused.
Velasco. Excused. Vigil. Rep Vigil. Oh. Weinberg. Weissman. Wilford. Wilson. Winter. Woodrow. Young. And Madam Speaker.
Here. It's that one. Members, with 59 present, 5 excused, and 1 vacant, we do have a quorum. Representative Armagost, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the Journal of Tuesday, January 10th, 2022 be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. That one stung a bit. The motion is adopted. Members' announcements and introductions. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to remind everybody that we are off on Monday, Martin Luther King Day. Did everybody hear me? Yes. Okay, great. Thank you.
Representative Doherty.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Joint Health will be meeting promptly upon adjournment. That is promptly upon adjournment for Smart Act hearings both today and tomorrow. Thanks.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I have a couple announcements for you. I'm going to start out with with the second most fun thing, because the other fun thing is JBC and Smart Act hearings. So the second most fun thing is the Colorado Restaurant Association Blue Ribbon Legislative Reception. That will be held this evening. You should all see this invitation on your desk, so look for this. But just to kind of give you a bit of a preview, there will be 10 local restaurants showcasing their unique food and beverages. It will be so much fun. I've been multiple times myself. This is probably one of the best legislative events for you to attend. It starts tonight at 6 o'clock and will be hosted at History Colorado. So I will be there, and I know several other colleagues will be there, so come. It's a great opportunity to network and then, of course, see what creative things different restaurants are doing in Colorado. So that was the first announcement. The second announcement, for the most fun thing, members, if I could have your attention, because you don't want to miss an opportunity for homework. So I know I called your attention to this, but today everybody should have received this book on their desks. So each one of your committees will be having a joint meeting with your corresponding Senate committee. If you didn't get this book, let me know. We'll make sure you get your book. But this is just part of our opportunity to hear from agencies. This book has a compilation of every single budget spending request made from the governor's office. And just kind of backing this up a bit, every year the governor has a statutory responsibility to submit a budget for our consideration and approval, and part of this whole process, and of course us holding government accountable for being smart and efficient, is taking a good look at their spending requests. So this is where your homework will come from. All of the departments for which your committees have oversight responsibility have their spending requests summarized in this book. Read up on it before, and that way you'll be prepared with questions. And I know me, and along with Representative Sirota and the rest of the JBC team, will be visiting your committees to present and to take your questions. So thank you for your attention, and I hope I get to see you tonight at the Blue Ribbon Reception.
Thank you, Representative Byrd. Representative Ortiz.
All right, I get to be proud in announcing that the VA is actually being efficient and effective, so they got me in sooner, and I am excused for tomorrow morning.
So approved. Representative Bradley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm going to try to get through this without crying. Thank you all who have worn purple today in honor of my niece. On December 7th, I received a phone call that my 16-year-old niece, Ambria McGregor, had been in a very severe car accident. I immediately flew to Nashville to be with my sister, her husband, and my nephew. Over the course of 3 weeks, Ambria fought hard, painstakingly hard, to overcome her injuries. On December 29th, we learned that there was no more brain activity. Those 3 weeks were the hardest weeks of all of our lives as we experienced roller coaster after roller coaster. My beautiful and brave 16-year-old niece, with a servant's heart, decided 2 months prior, when she got her driver's license, to become an organ donor. Through organ donation, she was able to save 8 lives. Today we honor her, her courageous spirit, her infectious laugh, and her beautiful smile by wearing purple. She was a kind soul who never met a stranger, who smiled at everyone who loved to live life. She loved Jesus with her whole heart and lived her life like him. I will aspire every day to live life like she did and continue to say her name. We had a very special bond, and I am struggling with such an enormous loss. Thank you for all of your support today and in the days, weeks, and years to come for me and my family. Thank you.
A moment of silence, members. Our condolences with you, Representative Bradley, and your family. Thank you. Additional announcements and introductions. Representative Holtorf. And Representative Winter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to ask you all to go to the stock show this week. Representative Holtorf talked about it already. Coming from a very strong rural district that's full of agriculture and livestock, I'd like to ask you to go and see just the amount of effort that these families put in, how they take care of their animals, their children, and what a family get-together it really is this time of year. You get to see what the industry leaders are doing to try to not only do what they've done for hundreds of years, but how they try to do it better. So please, I urge you all, especially the urban legislators, if you get a chance, would you please stop by the stock show, talk to these families, and hear their stories yourself. Thank you.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Last night I was at the second round of the PBR Rodeo Professional Bull Riders. Tonight is the final round. The short go and the long go. The best 6 to 8 riders of the first and second round qualify for the final round. If you want to see some real action, if you want to see real cowboys that have one of the hardest events in rodeo, please consider going to the rodeo. I'll be there. I don't know if I'll be there tonight. I was there last night. I'm going to try to be there again tonight. It was really exciting. But this is a time, ladies and gentlemen, where rural Colorado and rural America comes to Denver. We come to the concrete jungle because of what is the National Western Stock Show, one of the finest national shows in the United States of America, right here in Denver. So let's support it, let's embrace it, and let's be a part of it in any way we can, both directly and indirectly. And Madam Speaker, I have one more announcement. And unfortunately, tragedy strikes in many ways. And I wanted to announce to this body and chamber that our former whip, Perry Buck's father, just passed away. So it's a sad day for the Buck family and our former whip. And I just found this out about 5 minutes ago. So we will do appropriate memorial contributions to the family and to one of our former members. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Holtorf, and our condolences with Representative Buck's family. Any other? Minority Leader Lynch.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You can tell where my vision of unity comes from because that's my pastor. I'm proud of him. And also there's some members of the River of Life congregation here today as well joining us, so welcome.
Thank you for joining us. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The joint session of the Ute Tribal Councils will be occurring at 10 a.m. At this time, I move that the House stand in recess until after the joint session.
Thank you, Madam Majority Leader. Members, just a reminder, please be back and present for the joint session promptly at 10. Seeing no objection, the House will be in recess until after the joint session. Will those in the gallery please be seated? Please keep our aisleways and doors clear for safety reasons. Thank you very much. The joint session will now come to order. Senate Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the morning roll call of the Senate be made the Senate roll call of the joint session.
If there is no objection, the morning roll call of the Senate will be made the Senate roll call for the joint session. Madam Majority Leader Duran.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I move that the morning roll call of the House be made the House roll call of the joint session.
If there is no objection, the morning roll call of the House will be made the House roll call for the joint session. A quorum is present. As is customary, it is my great privilege and honor to present the gavel once again to the President of the Senate with the request that he preside over these proceedings.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Will the joint committee composed of Senators Gonzalez, Danielson, and Simpson, and Representatives McLaughlin, Velasco, and Catlin escort the tribal representatives from the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe Tribal Council and the Southern Ute Indian Tribe Tribal Council into the House chamber. Chief Sergeant Judson.
Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for Chairman Melvin J. Baker of the Southern Ute Indian Tribe and Chairman Manuel Hart of the Ute Mountain Ute Indian Tribe.
Will the escort committee please proceed to the podium? It is my pleasure and honor to present to you Chairman Manuel Hart from the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe and Chairman Melvin J. Baker from the Southern Ute Indian Tribe Tribal Council. Chairman Hart will address us first.
Hello, everyone. Mike. Mike means hello in my own Ute language. So good morning to all of you today. It is an honor for me to be here on behalf of the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe. Hello, members of the Colorado House and Representatives, Colorado Senate, all staff, and honored guests. Last year, there was legislation passed that the 2 Ute tribes in Colorado can address the Colorado state legislatures in a joint general session. Senate Bill 22-105. I would like to thank former Senator Kerry Donovan for bringing this Senate Bill, Senators 22-105. There are 2 federally recognized tribes within the state of Colorado. They are the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe and Southern Ute Indian Tribe. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe to address our relationship on a government-to-government with the state of Colorado. By working together and partnering through our government-to-government relationship becomes incorporated into our current and future tribal projects. So it is important that we share these values with the state of Colorado. Today, we coordinate and work with the Colorado Commission of Indian Affairs and Lieutenant Governor Primavera and her staff, where we discuss our shared values and we promote projects that are beneficial to both the 2 Ute tribes and the state of Colorado. These are some of the concerns, our current and successful projects that we have completed and have set some legislative milestones that we have worked on and that are important of cooperation and working together. We have identified some projects that may be stalled or have present challenges that would like your partnership and your support as a Colorado General Assembly. Between the 3 of us, the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe, Southern Ute Indian Tribe, and the state of Colorado. There are a number of topic areas that I would like to talk with you about today. I would like to bring by recognition some major milestones between our 2 governments. Brunot hunting rights by our Treaty of 1874. Both the 2 Ute tribes of Colorado have a unique hunting treaty right due to Brunot Hunting Agreement ratified by the Act of 1874. The hunting area is on the western slope of Colorado and consists of around 3.7 million acres. Our concerns is we are very limited in the area designated by the Brunot Hunting Treaty to public lands and forestry lands is where we're able to hunt. Our concern of these hunting areas is the acreage that is being taken away from the original hunting treaty of 3.7 million acres. There's private lands, towns, and cities and municipalities that are identified within the hunting area of the treaty. So what we propose that the hunting area be expanded up into Uncompadre Forest from the lands taken away from the original acres of the Ute Mountain Hunting Treaty right. We together have had this federal hunting treaty in place for over 40 years and updates in 2008 and in 2011. Together, we have worked to ensure these off-reservation hunting treaties are maintained now and into the future. My next item is repatriation of ancestral human remains. In 2007, we worked with the state of Colorado and 46 other tribes on repatriating Native American ancestral human remains and funerary objects that were disturbed or uncovered by development. The state helped us identify lands for the reburial and protection of our ancestors. Our ancestors were originally put in these places in their honor and respect as our homeland, each of them. Each of us today deserve a final resting place without being disturbed. So let us protect all of our rights to be in these places that were buried or put down respectfully. Next item I'd like to bring up is voting on tribal lands. As tribal nations, the original inhabitants of these lands, we were not recognized as United States citizens until 1924. Through the Snyder Act, tribes did operate self-governance long before the United States was founded in 1776. Today, we work with the Colorado Secretary of State's office to provide service and election polls on 2 reservations for our tribal members for the state, federal, and county elections. Concern that we have is tribal IDs
have not been fully accepted as an approved identification for cashing checks or form of ID, but we are currently working on this issue with the state of Colorado. We would like to thank Secretary Jenna Griswold for her continued support on this issue. Next item is education. In a working relationship, we have established the first state charter school on the Indian Reservation in the state of Colorado. The boarding school era was an atrocity on what happened to Native American children and the Indian people by the United States government, including churches. The assimilation process put into place by the United States government to take away our language and our traditions and our cultural teachings, it had a devastating impact to 3 to 4 generations of tribal families in a very negative way, right up to today. Some tribes have totally lost their language and their traditional teachings across this country. We as a Ute Mountain have been strong and we're coming back. So today, American Indian history is not required in our public schools, in the curriculum. It is important that future generations are provided with this history and knowledge, and now is the time to ensure that the oldest continuous residents of this country, their history, be required into the curriculum in the education public system. No disrespect to anyone, but looking back at the true history, at whose cost of life and liberty and our inherent tribal rights to live as a free sovereign nation, and the right to govern our true manifest destination as tribal governments within this country. Today, we look toward a new future. We cannot change history, but we can work together for all of our children that are not here yet and that are currently here. Today, through this charter school that we have, that opportunity to change a small part of history and create our own Ute tribal curriculum for our children with teachings of our Ute language and implement culture and traditional Ute teachings, working with our charter school staff and our Ute tribal elders. This also includes the basic teachings of K through second grade, which we currently have, and educational priorities for a good education. The future plans is eventually implementing a K through 12th grade charter school on the Ute Mountain Ute Reservation, and possibly a vocational technical school for some of them that might go into a technical work, maybe even a possible junior college. That takes future capital funds, which we currently do not have at this time, but thanks to the opportunity like RISE, we will have a good master education plan and a design for a new education quadrant. My next item is water. Challenges. These mountains are the headgates of the Colorado River Basin, and these mountains were the Aboriginal lands of the Ute people. There's an upper basin and a lower basin. In 1922, the first Colorado River Basin was being negotiated and passed among the 7 states and the United States government. Indian tribes were not recognized as United States citizens until 1924, 2 years later, after the Colorado River Basin Compact was passed by Congress in 7 states. The Winters Doctrine was a decision by the Supreme Court in a ruling in 1908, 14 years earlier, on behalf of the tribes and their individual tribal water rights. Question has been brought up by some of the tribal nations to the United States Department of Interior about the tribal water rights in the Colorado River Basin. Today, some tribes still do not have their water rights quantified, and most tribes still do not sit at the table as decision makers on the tribal water rights. Yes, they are consulted due to consultation policy, but really, they don't have a vote on a management plan for the future base on the interim guidelines, which is coming up in 2026, on quantifying their water rights within each of the 7 states before the deadline of a management plan. Due to domino effect of climate change, we have faced the most severe impacts of drought in the last 3 years. Because of the severe drought, we are facing a water allocation of 10%, which equals to 1.5 inches of water per acre. Another issue that we're concerned with, O&M cost has been challenging when we don't receive our full allocation of ag water for our farm and ranch enterprise out at the McPhee Reservoir. plus the startup cost of our fallowed fields that have not been in production. And to get them back up to production takes resources and funding. But we also have successes in water as well. The 2 Ute tribes are working with the Colorado Water Conservation Board, the Colorado Water Representatives, and our local Water Conservation Division through consultation. Water is a very precious resource for all of us, and to ensure its future protection, tribes and state of Colorado need to work together to protect our water rights. The state of Colorado is also participating in our litigation for the Ute Mountain Ute tribe with the state of New Mexico for our water rights in the San Juan River. The state's participation has been essential to understanding the potential use of the water in both Colorado and New Mexico. Our water experts and attorneys will bring valuable information and expertise into this negotiation. The 2 Ute tribes have a significant amount of municipal industrial water in Lake Nighthorse near Durango, about 32,000 acre-feet if we put both the tribes together. Currently, we have no delivery system to get our water to put it to use on each one of our tribal reservations. The United States has not secured funding for a delivery system for our tribal water, and therefore it sits and we risk the water from evaporation. We propose to put on the table and work in a partnership for the Ute Mountain Ute tribe to secure funds to get a delivery system from Lake Nighthorse to Montezuma County. If we are successful in getting this water westward, it could also provide municipal water to the local municipalities in the county who are also suffering from this drought. My next agenda item is gaming, sports betting. We have always tried to mention our government-to-government relationship that we each have respectfully to each of the 2 Ute tribes in the state of Colorado. One issue we still need to work on is sports betting. The 2 Ute tribes were not involved in drafting the legislation that established sports betting within the state of Colorado. Because of the concerns that have emerged, the Ute Mountain Ute tribe is still not able to participate in online sports betting like every other casino in the state. The regulatory structure imposed by the legislatures does not fit well with the Ute tribes as a sovereign. We appreciate the effort of the state and the Department of Gaming, and they have tried to find a solution, but we have not been able to agree on a way to move forward that protects our sovereignty. We should not be regulated as a business entity within the state of Colorado. We are the largest employer in Montezuma County, and currently the casino is our largest enterprise. All the profits from our casino are used to ensure that we have tribal programs for our 2 tribal communities, one in Toyac, which is in the state of Colorado, and the White Mesa community in Utah, which are both a part of the Ute Mountain Ute tribe. For all of our tribal members and the service programs, our casino is a part of our economic development plan and brings in revenue for our tribal government. When the Ute Mountain Ute tribe succeeds, so do the surrounding communities and towns. We'd like to implement off-reservation betting through sports betting. When the legislation was passed in 2019 through a referendum, the 2 Ute tribes were not consulted with the language in the legislation. So we as the 2 Ute tribal sovereign nations are very different than your state casinos. We are also regulated by the Federal Gaming Commission and IGRA. IGRA is the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act and the guidelines that we have to follow. We have always followed the law and have never had any concerns on audits and negative gaming operations. Time is money, and it is urgent that the state of Colorado understand and respect our position as tribal sovereigns, not as a regulated business entity within the state of Colorado. The reintroduction of the wolf. The reintroduction of the wolf in the state of Colorado by legislation. These wolves may be considered sacred to native tribes and to our ecosystem. And at the same time, they are a threat to livestock owners and properties of cattle, especially on our tribal ranch in Pinecrest near Gunnison, where they'll be released pretty soon. The Colorado Natural Resource Department and Keystone Policy Center have been a partner considering and mitigating the impacts to the Ute Mountain Ute tribe. When the wolves are introduced into our area, respecting our sovereignty and our values should be taken into consideration, especially if we introduce our own management plan. Next, I'd like to bring attention to the mascot bill. We'd like to recognize the mascot bill, Senate Bill 21-116, concerning the prohibition of American Indian mascots in Colorado. We'd like to thank the sponsors of this bill, Senator Danielson, Representative Benavides, and McLaughlin. Next one is the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives MMIR bill. Additionally, we'd like to congratulate Senate Bill 22-150, Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives, concerning the responses to the missing and murdered Indigenous persons crisis, and in connection therewithin establishes the offices of liaison for missing and murdered Indigenous relatives, and making an appropriation. We'd like to thank sponsor Senator Danielson, Representative Duran, and Harold for we've already seen this bill in action and look forward to future coordination and collaboration. Ute history and the overview. On this historical day, I would respectfully add that the Ute people have been here since time immemorial, and we cherish these lands because they gave us life. They sustain us and protect us for more than 10,000 years. These lands are the Aboriginal lands, and that was all of these Rocky Mountains. That is 2/3 of Colorado, half of Utah, and northern New Mexico. We are the mountain people, based on our creation story from our Creator. We have and continue to be stewards of our Aboriginal lands, and we're still connected to these mountains and all the Aboriginal Ute lands today. We live in a very southwest corner of Colorado today on a reservation put there by the federal government. We were put there forcibly, not by our choice, but by past presidents, U.S. presidents, and the United States Congress. Tribes were forced by legislation through the federal government, through some of our tribal treaties, which was negotiated by our chiefs at that time. Majority of these treaties were not in our best interest for our Ute people. At times we gave up some things to get something of lesser use or value from our original agreement or from our full inherent tribal right. If you'd bear with me, I would like to paint a picture for each one of you of the oldest and continuous resident of Colorado. Our first treaties with the Spanish was in 1670. So imagine this picture that I'm painting of history. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo ends Mexican-American War. New Mexico and southern Colorado cede to United States. The Ute people fall from 8,000 to 2,000 in 1859 through 1879 due to smallpox and diminishing hunting grounds that we were forced out of existence and our Aboriginal lands that we had a right to hunt on. Utes were confined to western third part of Colorado Territory by Treaty of 1868. The gold and silver rush occurred in San Juan Mountains in 1873. The Utes seceded San Juan Mountains area to the United States in 1873. This took away 1/4 of the Utes' remaining land. The United States takes more Ute lands in 1888, paying a total of only $50,000 to be divided equally among the Utes. That is for the Weenooch, the Capote, and the Moach Utes at that time. We were all under one consolidated consolidated tribe. It was estimated the population of the tribe at that time was around 3,500 members. Each member was supposed to be paid $14 out of this $50,000. I see no record of disbursement of these funds to individual Utes, but yet is in the records that they gave and paid $50,000 to the Ute people. In 1896 was the allotment era for the Ute reservation. Southern Ute Indian tribal chiefs chose to stay with the Allotment Act for the Capote and the Moach bands within their reservation, and that is their land base today. Ute Mountain Ute tribal chief Ignacio chose to separate his band, which is the Weenooch band, my band, and we went west and took their Weenooch band to a trust land reservation, and that is our tribal land base today. In 1924, American Indians became recognized as United States citizens. In 1940, Ute Mountain Ute tribe adopts its Ute Mountain Tribal Constitution. In 1971, Chief Jack House dies the last traditional chief of the Utes. Ute water rights settlement was in 1987. As I have gone over this history of the Ute and explaining to each one of you the legislatures of the state of Colorado, we as the Ute people have lost a lot over time up to present day 2023. Today, the areas that I speak of are about the future government government relationship. We all claim these lands as our homeland, but let us look at the past history and what has been taken away. All those lost opportunities we shall address, and we shall address them today and look toward future opportunities. We respectfully request the governing body of the state of Colorado for your continued partnership, protection of our lands, fulfillment of our tribal water rights, hunting and gathering rights, opportunities today into the future for economic development, to have equal access to revenue, better health care for all, educational opportunities for our children, housing opportunities for our families, equity in all areas, and the right to be a Ute-Mah-Ute tribal sovereign government within the state of Colorado and other states. We look toward partnerships and joint legislation from a government-to-government standpoint. We as a Ute-Mah-Ute tribe are a proud people, and we should be recognized by all federal, state, tribal, and local governments as a sovereign Ute-Mah-Ute tribal nation. I would like to thank all of you for the opportunity to present today our successes and our challenges and concerns today. We look forward to working with the state of Colorado to pursue the projects that are in our mutual interest. The Colorado Commission of Indian Affairs is an exceptional partner and is a great role model for other states to adopt through their legislation. And we work with them in a very professional government-to-government relationship, a true government-to-government relationship. We're able to demonstrate to the rest of the nation that tribes have a lot to offer, and they should be included in future legislation. In closing, I'm going to say this in Ute, then I'll explain it in English. Numuya, nuchu, chikava yu chapat nakwe. Pua mamuch shmainga, mamos mamuch shmainga, tip shmainga. Te tuwit te pupa mamos men te tuwit mawaa. Ru. Term marinuwa okwach, avant nakrunuwa okwach. Magoy mamurwatar mampua mamuch shmaike. The hospera mamus men betchim te tuwit mawa te kavi ucha. So uron son naik te magoy puerket rei. Titis aan moeite moest dat te magoy pupak maras niken pupak maras te gaikan. Oop ni rat reit maras nuchi pupak mamos te gain te tuwit mawa. Puvat nog hem te gaikan iwet wani. So in closing, as the mountain people, the Ute people, we take care of our families all year long, especially during the winter season when the heavy snows come across the mountains. We give our tribal relatives these blankets so that they may stay warm during the winter session or winter season. Just as a blanket is made, our history of the Ute people should be woven into the history of Colorado. So with that, I thank you, legislatures, representatives, senators, staff, honored guests, on behalf of the Ute-Mah-Ute tribe, Tawayach.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here. Again, my name is Melvin J. Baker, Chairman of the Southern Ute Indian Tribe. And I'd like to say members of the Colorado House of Representatives, members of the Colorado Senate, state and guests, thank you for the opportunity to address you today. Again, my name is Melvin J. Baker, Chairman of the Southern Ute Indian Tribe. Today, I would like to talk to you about 4 things. First, to provide you background on the Southern Ute Indian Tribe, its history, its economic development, and the services it provides to the citizens of Colorado. Second, to discuss the status of relations between the state and the tribes, including the 3 pillars that serve as the foundation of that important relationship. And finally, to talk about policies that are important to the tribe and address in areas which we can work together. First, let me provide you information on the tribe. The Utes were the original inhabitants of what is today the state of Colorado. According to our history, we have lived here since time immemorial. As a result of a series of treaties with the federal government, today the Southern Ute Indian Tribe occupies the Southern Ute Indian Reservation, which comprises of approximately 770,000 acres in southwest Colorado. Our reservation is part of the northern San Juan Basin, an area that has seen widespread oil and gas development over a period of almost 70 years. The topography of the reservation is varied. Lands range from mountains on the west side of the reservation to agriculture and semi-arid desert lands in the west half of the reservation. 8 rivers traverse the reservation in 5 main drainage areas. Currently, the tribe has just under 1,500 tribal members. Including tribal members, there are approximately 5,000 Native Americans and 5,000 non-natives who reside within reservation boundaries. Through the business acumen of our tribal leaders, the tribe has become a leading developer of energy resources in Indian country and is a vital part of the local and regional economy. The tribe employs nearly 1,500 people directly through our wholly or partially owned business entities and is the single largest employer in La Plata County. The tribe generates millions of dollars in tax revenue for the state and local governments through tax compacts, employment, and leasing activities. At the same time, the tribe provides essential services to Colorado residents living within the reservation boundaries at no expense to the state. These include 1, free health care for tribal members, 2, operation of a health service clinic for all natives, 3, free education for all tribal members, including college and postgraduate education, 4, a monastery school that operates through the 5th grade for tribal members and first descendants of our tribe, 5, social services, law enforcement, detention, and judicial services for natives living within reservation boundaries, a community recreation center, and 7, administration of Clean Air Act permitting programs and maintenance of water quality standards within the reservation for the benefit of all citizens of Colorado. In addition, with a $10 million contribution from the state last year, we are in the process of completing a $60 million plan to provide broadband to the local community. There are services that benefit both tribal and non-tribal members living within the reservation. And with that, we also will be providing broadband to the local schools, just anyone who needs it in our community. When we do projects such as this for our tribe, it is not for tribal members only, it's to enhance all of our community members, anyone we can, to, so we have a better tomorrow. In looking at the relationship that exists between Colorado and the 2 Ute tribes, Colorado can be proud of the relationship it has developed over the years with its 2 land-based tribes. When we look at other states, we often see friction between the states and the tribes within its borders, but not in Colorado. Colorado is the leader among all states when it comes to honoring the tribal-state relationship. As Governor Polis has stated, in Colorado, we respect our government-to-government relationships with tribes. We also have an excellent working relationship with La Plata County. There are 3 principles that are the foundation of the relationship that I ask you for today and always to remember. 1, or first, we must always remember that we are each sovereign entities, a relationship that we must honor and respect. As a result of the sovereignty, we are each self-governing. We each have our own laws, codes, and ordinances that govern activities over which we have jurisdiction. There are times when you legislate that you may not remember there are 2 sovereign tribes within your borders, and you may not realize that your legislation may unintentionally appear to affect those living on tribal lands and impinge upon the tribe's jurisdictions. When legislation is enacted without considering the tribes, it can create unnecessary conflict and requires legislation this session. It requires expenditure of tribal and state resources to resolve. I ask that you consider legislation this session and in the future sessions. You ask yourself, what effect will this have on the Ute tribes and those they govern? And if you have questions, reach out to us to discuss these issues. Second, we must always remember to consult. We depend on adequate consultation on matters that affect each of us. Consultation not only honors our government-to-government relationship, it also results in better legislation and saves time and in the long run. In areas where we have disagreements, it is usually where there was no consultation. In 2019, this legislature passed House Bill 19-1327, an act authorizing sports betting. Even though the tribes each operate a casino, there was no consultation with the tribes during the passage of that legislation. And after its passage, the Colorado Division of Gaming canceled efforts by the tribes to initiate entities far less favorably than non-tribal gaming entities. In the way it applied your legislation and to ignore the gaming compacts that have been in existence between the state and two tribes for decades. As a consequence, this issue remains unresolved 3 years later. We are asking you to resolve it this session through legislation rectifying the inequity. Unlike the large non-tribal gaming entities operating in this state, tribal gaming revenue is not used for profit. By federal law, its use is limited to providing services that benefit tribal members. There is no reason 3 years after the passage of House Bill 19-1327 that the Colorado Division of Gaming has chosen to not honor the state's gaming compacts with the two Colorado tribes. The action of this division of gaming continued to serve as a strain on the relationship that exists between the tribe and the state of Colorado. Third, and finally, we must always remember the importance of cooperation. Our interests, social and economic, are interrelated. This includes a wide range of issues such as social services, road maintenance, voting, economic development, protection of natural and cultural resources, and taxation. There is an understanding that we can't always agree on every issue, but sometimes it's better to disagree and work together. It is a cooperation and willingness to work together that makes us all stronger. As you consider legislation, there are certain activities that are particular importance to our tribe on which we ask that you consult with us. Today I will mention 3 of those. First, economic development is a key importance to our tribe, and at the forefront of that is energy and resource management and development. The tribe operates the Southern Ute Growth Fund, whose operations cover 14 states, one on top, and the Gulf of Mexico. This includes Red Willow Production Company, now one of the top 25 largest gathering companies, a natural gas gathering and treating company located in La Plata County. However, the tribe's energy interests go well beyond traditional oil and gas reserves. With 8 Rivers Capital, it is developing the Coyote Clean Energy Project, locating one of the world's first zero-emissions net power plants within the reservation. In addition, it is creating the Methane Capture Project, using a novel approach to capture naturally seeping methane to prevent its migration into the atmosphere and continue to increase greenhouse gas emissions. Therefore, when you consider legislation dealing with the energy sector, whether traditional oil and gas development and transmission or non-traditional methods to address climate change, these are areas in which the tribe has a strong interest and particular expertise, and we can work together for the benefit of the tribe and the citizens of Colorado. Second, the tribe takes great pride in the prudent management of its natural and cultural resources. While we develop our energy resources, we also ensure that our lands and our waters remain clean for future generations. Within the jurisdiction of the tribe, under delegation from the EPA, is management of air pollution, emissions, and water quality. We hold ourselves to environmental standards that exceed those of the state and federal government. And it is important to us that we preserve and protect our cultural resources, including our ancestral sites from generations ago, as we've always considered ourselves caretakers of the land, Native people. Therefore, again, when you consider legislation, we are regulating oil and gas operators or air water quality within reservation boundaries. The tribe has that jurisdiction, and we need to be consistent and work together so our legislation does not conflict. And always remember that the Ute people lived throughout this state generations ago, and when you consider areas for development, to respect the culture ties that the tribes might have to those interests. Finally, please remember that our most important resource is water, The tribe has significant quantified federally reserved water rights. It is essential that we work together for the protection of those water rights so they are present for future generations. Our Southern Indian Tribe has really been reaching out and looking for, recently we've acquired the assistance of Seawald Havlin and Josh Havlin is our lobbyist up here in Colorado. We also have our lobbyists in Washington, D.C. as well. So again, that means a lot to us that we're really trying to work together to work with the state of Colorado. I want to thank the Colorado Commission of Indian Affairs that we do have those quarterly meetings and we talk about the things, some of those that Chairman Hart has discussed already. Both of us, it was kind of like we have the same issues, but they're a little different. But when we come together, we try to get everything we can out with the time frame allocated. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank you all for this opportunity to speak to you today. And we look forward to working with you on legislation that benefits all of us this session to our lovely state of Colorado. Towayak, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Hart and Chairman Baker. Will the committee escort the tribal representatives from the chamber? House Majority Leader Duran.
Mr. President, I move that the message from the tribal representatives be printed in the House Journal.
If there is no objection, the tribal representative's message will be printed in the House Journal. Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the joint session be dissolved.
There being no objection, the joint session is dissolved.
The House will come back to order. Announcements and introductions. Any further today, folks? Seeing none, Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stand in recess until later today.
Seeing no objection, the House will stand in recess until later today.